Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Practice podcast. My name is Lachlan Hetherington, and I have the special privilege of chatting with Jackie today, who is the owner of Physio for You. How are you going today, Jackie?
Good, thanks, Lachlan.
That's good to hear. Now, you don't mind if I ask you just 5 icebreaker questions so we can all just really get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, of course. I'm ready.
Awesome. So who inspires you?
Oh, I think on a professional level, people who have achieved excellence in whatever their field is inspire me. So I love the greats like Roger Federer, and also people who have made their careers or made a difference in the world by really having a positive impact on others. And then every day it's my patients. I deal with a lot of oncology patients, particularly women going through breast cancer. And when I'm having a bad day, I just look at what they've had to go through this week. And it's all easy. And I guess on a personal level, it's my family. I have 3 little boys that are my reason for being, a wonderful, supportive husband / business partner, and my parents and my siblings and my extended family. Just seeing them achieve in all the different fields that they're in, I draw a lot of strength and motivation from that.
Yeah, wow. Okay, interesting. And I'd love to hear sort of what was your dream occupation growing up? Was it always to go into the medical industry?
Yeah, it was a physio.
Yeah,
as corny as that sounds.
Yeah.
I was involved in a lot of sport when I was younger and a teenager, and came across private practice physiotherapy, and decided when I was about 14 that's what I wanted to do, and then set up my study from there. And there you go. I've never done anything else.
Yeah.
I've never looked back. There's nothing else I can imagine doing.
Okay, nice. And what are your main hobbies right now? That's if you have
kids.
Yeah, that's if you have time for any of that.
Working kids.
Yeah.
And then when I do get a spare half hour, I like to I'm lucky to live next to a national park, so I like to bushwalk, I like to exercise, I like to play tennis, and catch up with friends, read.
Nice.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And where is your dream location to travel to?
There's heaps of places I'd like to go.
Especially now with COVID and everything.
Yeah,
we've been locked down.
I'd really like to take my kids somewhere for like a 6-month live in another country situation, learn a new language. So I've got a few more steps of business set up to get to before I'm ready for that, but that'd be a great goal.
Nice. Wow. Okay. And where did you grow up?
I grew up where I live now, here on the Central Coast, which is about an hour and a half north of Sydney.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so now that's all the introduction questions. So I'd love just for you to sort of take us back to when you wanted to become a physio all the way through into graduating at university.
Yeah. Okay, so I was lucky to go to a selective high school here on the Central Coast. So the school was very focused on encouraging students to go to university and to do a degree. So the careers advisor I had in school was just delighted when I said I have exactly this path I want to follow, physiotherapy. I had to get good marks in the HSC to get into physio. So I worked hard and got accepted to Newcastle University, which is about 2 hours north of Sydney. And that suited me because that was closer to home, my closest to home university. So I went there, and I think the first year was actually a bit of a rude shock. I'd come from always doing well at school, acing assignments, always feeling on top of my workload, to suddenly skipping whole sections of recommended reading because no one had time for that. But overall, I enjoyed uni. I worked, I was living with my then boyfriend, now husband, and worked as a tennis coach and a swimming instructor to make ends meet during university. And had a lot of support at uni and did a lot of interesting pracs in a lot of places around New South Wales, and then graduated at the end of 2008.
Yeah, wow.
I started working in private practice straight out of uni. I'd done prac in the hospitals, and thought at that point in my career that wasn't quite for me. I liked the concept of private practice, keeping you on your toes and having to treat a variety of things, and having patients come in without their diagnosis and having to figure out what that diagnosis is and what the best plan is for that person. So I was lucky enough to get a job at a place in Lake Macquarie, and landed with a really excellent women's health physio, who showed me the ropes and gave me a lot of mentoring and support, and went from there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you answered my next question, which was, did you go into private health sector or was it the public straight away? But how big was that clinic, sort of moving straight out of university?
I think there was 2 other physios at the time that I started working there. So the owner and the other owner was a really great experienced remedial massage therapist, and there was one other physiotherapist. And by the time I resigned from there, about 4 years later, maybe 5 years later, I think it had grown to a team of about 6 physios. Yeah,
wow. So it gave you a really diverse sort of oversight on sort of everything in that private health sector.
Yeah, and I was really lucky to work with, over the years, quite a number of excellent senior physios with different areas of specialty. So I learned a little bit about women's health, heaps about TMJ, neck, whiplash, low back, sports. We worked with a podiatrist as well, so a lot about feet and the role of the podiatrist with our patients. And it was a really great learning experience. Again, tough, I think, like lots of new grads find coming out of uni, and then suddenly you're in the workforce and this is your caseload and you're responsible for them. But it was a really great opportunity for me.
Yeah, wow. So what was the point where it sort of clicked that you were just like, all right, I'm going to have a crack at sort of starting my own practice? Did you go somewhere else, or I'd love to sort of hear that.
Look, I was always interested in, I think, working for myself in some capacity. I'm very self-driven and self-motivated, so I would work hard. I don't need a boss as such telling me what to do, when to do it. I think I just saw an opportunity. So I had 2 little boys, only 14 months apart, starting in 2012. And after my second little boy was born, I decided that I was doing a bit of work from home at that point. Just had a room set up in my house, which was mostly family and friends, and then friends of friends. And by this point, I had a few days work just looking after those people. So I left the private practice clinic that I worked at, explaining that I had 2 very little babies and was just going to work part-time from home, which they were very, very supportive of, and I think left my job open for about 2 years. In case it didn't work out. But within a few years of doing that, I needed to hire a receptionist and move to a bigger location, and it sort of just went from there. I didn't really start with any sort of grand plans. My goal has always just been to help as many people as I can, as much as I can, and I've been lucky to have the opportunities to bring other therapists on board to be able to service more clients at the same time.
Yeah, wow. So it all sort of grew just from word of mouth and everything from there.
And initially, yes, I did. I had a physiotherapy sign out the front,
Okay. Yeah.
And I had business cards that I wrote the person's next appointment on.
Yeah.
And that was about the extent of my advertising.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'd love to hear sort of how you've made Physio for you really unique sort of in your area and yeah, to the industry.
Sure. Okay. Well, when I was working in my new graduate job, I think the second year I was there, the physiotherapist who owned that practice had decided that she saw a need for a lymphedema service in the area and suggested that I go and do the postgrad physio lymphedema course, which I had not considered at all. And I think the first time I said, "Oh, I don't really know what that is. I don't really think I want to do that." Anyway, she basically said, "This is what you're doing." So off I went and did the course, and just loved it. It was this whole new area that I hadn't learned about at uni. It's not really part of the undergraduate course. Met some really great therapists and people who were already working in the area, and made some good contacts. Really liked it. So I came back to the clinic with that knowledge, and then gradually over about a year started putting it into practice and figuring out what equipment we needed to treat lymphedema patients and how often they needed to be seen, and which specialists and which doctors these patients were seeing, and who was going to be the people referring them. So gradually was able to build that service with the support of my employer there over a couple of years. And because there's not many lymphedema physios around,
I'm sure.
Once sort of word got out that there was this service, we were really inundated with patients, and so obviously I carried those skills through to my own business, and have grown that, and now I'm a titled APA physio in lymphedema and oncology rehab. I think I've done just about every course you can do in those areas. And so that sort of put me in a position where I can treat really complex patients and train others to be able to recognize lymphedema and other deficits that oncology patients have, and be able to treat them as well. So that was always sort of my niche, and over the years I've managed to attract other senior physios with other specialty skills like women's health, men's health, pelvic floor, vertigo, vestibular, sports injuries. So all our senior physiotherapists have their own niche, and then see general physio as well. And then our more junior physios are primarily musculoskeletal, but they get a taste of all those specialties. And then if they develop an interest in one of those areas, then that specialist physio becomes their mentor and can help guide them through their career on the same path.
Yeah, wow. Because I was going to ask, do you put them like later on, once they've sort of niched down and they've found what they're really interested in, do you put your staff through so your graduates through those trainings at all?
We put them through, not financially. But we're 100% supportive. We want all our physios to continue to engage in professional development and to continue to find their areas of special interest and develop those, even if they're different to us. So we have a physiotherapist starting with us next year who's really interested in pediatrics. Hopefully we can support her to improve her knowledge and qualifications in that area, and then we can offer that as another specialty service within our clinics.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, okay. So now, if I had to take you back to the very beginning of starting your practice, what would you do differently moving forward?
I think I would have had more confidence in myself. There was a lot of I haven't made too many like big disastrous mistakes. Definitely lots of little mistakes and things I could have done better along the way, but probably have more confidence to have hired more staff sooner. I am pretty risk averse actually, which is funny being a business owner, but I sort of at each stage really maxed myself out doing everything that I could possibly do on my own before bringing on more staff, which is sort of what you have to do, I guess, when you're bootstrapping a startup. But I think if I was advising someone else, I would say, look, don't stress yourself out with all that bookwork. Hire a bookkeeper, hire an accountant, bring on a receptionist early, have plenty of reception hours to help with all the paperwork and day-to-day stuff. So yeah, I would probably just say for others starting up, just have confidence in yourself and look forward and plan for growth rather than where you are right now.
Yeah. Okay. So as I think I saw on your website, now you're opening up a 4th location. Where was the first location? Not only that, and how long did it sort of take you to build it up to your 2nd and 3rd location?
Right, I wrote these down.
You wrote it down? Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay.
So it was 2010 that I first started seeing patients just at my home.
Yep.
And in those next couple of years was when I was on and off maternity leave. And then in 2015, I moved the business that I'd created at home into a suburb called Gorican in a building that we shared with the dentist.
Okay. Yep.
In 2017, I partially took over, partially started a new clinic at Woy Woy. So that was 2 years later. And then in 2018, I moved the clinic at Gorican into a much bigger space within a medical centre at a place called Wangara, which was about 5 minutes from the original practice. And that was exciting because the week we moved there, I was at the Commonwealth Games doing physio.
Oh, really?
On the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So I didn't plan it like that, but it just, and also anyone who's opening a practice or just get ready for delays because it's always delayed for some reason or another. In 2019, we were approached to create a physiotherapy practice within another medical centre at Saratoga, it's about a 45-minute drive from our Wangara location and about a half-hour drive from our Woy Woy location. So it's kind of in the middle. Yeah. So we set up that service 2019. Last year, everyone was a bit on edge. So we didn't set up any new clinics, but we just took on more space at our Wangara clinic. And this year we took on more space for our Woy Woy clinic. So we've gone up to 10 rooms now at that practice.
Wow.
And on Monday, our newest clinic opens at Tuggerah within a medical centre within our local Westfield.
Wow.
So that's been an exciting lease process.
Yes, wow. That's awesome to hear.
So it's been sort of, from those first couple of patients in the front room of my house to 4 clinics, about 10 years. Yeah,
wow. That's explosive growth. That's awesome to hear. I'm completely sort of blown away by sort of the expansiveness of that. But I'd love to hear, because obviously with New South Wales, you guys had it pretty bad sort of in regards to COVID. So I'd really love to hear how you navigated through that and really how it sort of had effects on your business.
Sure. Well, I guess it all sort of went down for us around March, April 2020. And there was a lot of fear from both my staff and my patients and everyone. So my first few weeks of COVID were figuring out if we were allowed to stay open, what sort of restrictions we had to adhere to, and managing emotions from staff and patients. There were a lot of staff that were worried about being in close contact with other people. There were staff that were worried about their job security, worried about coming to work and taking germs home to their families. And it was a hard situation as a leader because lots of times when staff come to me with concerns, it's things I've dealt with before. So I know how to handle it. I can usually sort their problems out within a 5-minute conversation. And in this instance, I had to admit, look, I don't know. We're all in unknown territory, and just remind everyone that we're a team and we're going to get through it together. I told all my staff early on that as long as we are permitted to stay open, we will be staying open. Everyone will be getting paid their normal wage, regardless of how many patients we do or don't have.
Yeah.
If we're not busy with patients, that's great. We're going to do more in services. We're going to do more mentoring. We're going to renovate the clinic. There's going to be heaps of stuff to do here, and some things to look forward to. So the early days was just navigating all that, and then came to creating COVID safe templates and position statements. We have physiotherapists that go into aged care facilities, that go into group homes, go into private patient homes. Often I'm called to the hospital to help with lymphedema cases. So each of those sites all had their own COVID safe plans that we had to adhere to. So there was a lot of paperwork going back and forth between my admin team and the different sites that we attend. But yeah, I think overall, just being upfront and being honest with my team and explaining, don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to be together, and we're not a business that's going to close, where our company is in a good, stable financial position. So everyone's annual leave is sitting there if anyone needs to use it. If anyone gets sick, all my staff have sick leave, so there's plenty of that there to be used. No one's going to be out of pocket. And thankfully we didn't need to access JobKeeper or anything like that, because after a few quiet weeks, things picked up back to normal patient levels. And this year we had another 4 months of lockdown, which has just finished this year, but actually we're busier than ever.
Because it sounds, you said you added all those extra rooms in the past 12 months, which is crazy.
That's right. And we had a lot of fearful patients, so just reassuring the patients, both myself and the therapists, that this is our cleaning procedures. Everyone wears masks. Our staff are really aware that if they're unwell themselves, they don't come to work until they're better. Anyone who's ever had to been instructed to have a COVID test or isolate has, and we've been lucky like that not to have any outbreaks or anything. But interestingly, some patients who for example, lymphedema patients, so lymphedema is a lifelong condition, so often patients return for treatment or use our services as part of their self-management, and some of those patients who normally would only come monthly or once every 6 weeks decided to come more often because it was an outing they were allowed to go to, and they thought they'd use this time to really get their lymphedema under control. So some patients who are seeing more regularly.
Wow, that's awesome to hear that. It's really sounds like it's done extremely well sort of over COVID, but obviously a few scares. Now, besides the new location opening up, what's the plan moving forward for Physio for you?
Good question.
Good question.
We do have another practice plan to open in 2022. So I'm still with the non-disclosure agreement about that one, but it is on the Central Coast again, and a decent distance away from our other practices. So at that point, we should have our region pretty much covered. And really, it sort of depends on my team and the physios that are attracted to work with our company as to what specialty services we add. But I would like to achieve some more growth. That I think if I try and come back always to my original goal of trying to help as many people as I can, as much as I can. Obviously, the bigger service we can provide, then the more people we're going to be able to help. You might have heard of the Back in Motion group getting acquired by Healthier.
Yes, I did see that.
a few weeks ago. So that was a good inspiration.
Yeah,
There's the corporate demand for physiotherapy practices as well. But yeah, my main goal is just getting all our patients seen with the highest quality of care, looking after and supporting our therapists to be able to do that. And if we stick with 4 practices forever, that's fine. That's heaps. And if there's need for our service in more areas, then we'll try and meet that demand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now that sort of leads into my next point, because obviously my industry is obviously in health marketing. I would love to hear, have you touched on doing any health marketing, or have you just grown purely over GP referrals and word of mouth?
Look, it's definitely mostly word of mouth and referrals. One of the marketing activities that I've always done is to send comprehensive reports to patients and their doctors about the physiotherapy treatment or care that they've received. And I find keeping the GPs in the loop and keeping the specialists in the loop is not only good for the patients and their care, but also is touching base with those referrers often multiple times a week when they open their mail or open their emails and say, oh, it's another patient report. So keeping in close contact with our referrers has also been a way we advertise. I have a employee now who looks after our social media. So she does just the basics, just some Facebook posts and updates our website, mostly things that make it hopefully easy for patients to find us. And if patients look us up, they can see our faces and hear us talking and learn about what services we offer and work out if that's right for them. But I'm intrigued about how we can better use advertising in health to get our message across and reach patients within the restrictions that we have of things like not being able to directly publish patient testimonials and things like that.
Exactly. Completely understand.
But maybe you can give me some tips in
most definitely. Yes. Well, I've covered pretty much everything that's that I've wanted to, and that's been awesome to have a chat with you. And I can't wait to sort of share your story. But if there would be anything that you'd like to touch on or at all, I'd love to hear something.
Look, I think you've covered a lot. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the work that you're doing in helping health professionals get their advertising message out there and help with media, because we definitely need it. Most of us aren't very camera savvy and tech savvy, so all the help we can get would be great. Awesome. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in on another episode. I can't wait to get this one out to you, and I hope you all enjoy. Cheers.